Hey everyone, Paul Kennan here with another Skype for Business broadcast for IT pros around this topic today will be VMware and VDI and Skype for Business. This is going to be an extra fun broadcast because joining me today is one of our good partners, VMware, and joining us from there is Tony Huynh, Director of Product Management there. Hey Tony, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Paul, thanks for allowing me to come here and share with you our plans to support Skype for Business. Obviously, Microsoft's a valued partner, and we just see the adoption for Skype for Business growing.
Excellent. That is so exciting, Tony. So one of the other fun parts about doing this broadcast today is that we're showing you guys a little bit of a preview feature where we actually are having Tony join from his VMware account, which is federated with Microsoft. And so as being a federated person, he can now join the broadcast. So yet another great thing. So let me switch over to our slide decks here for a moment. And let me go ahead and and sorry guys, I'm having fun clicking stuff randomly. So give me a second here. And we'll go ahead and get started with Tony's deck, and we'll talk a little bit about some exciting news. So give it a second, Tony, to load up, and then we can get going. Hopefully you guys can see it now. And let's go ahead and move on. So Tony, now your slide should be coming up any second. So we're on your first slide there. So why don't you go ahead and get started?
Sure thing. So first off, I want to thank the team here for basically allowing me to join Paul and the rest of the attendees. So at VMware, Skype for Business is a very important initiative for us. Not only are we a partner for Microsoft, we're a big customer. Our whole company uses Skype for Business to basically communicate and collaborate, on a daily basis. So obviously, this is an important initiative for our whole company. So I've been at VMware for about 6 years now, and the market adoption that we've seen for our virtual desktop offering, VMware Horizon, has been tremendous. We have customers across a variety of market segments. We have customers that include some of the largest financial institutions, globally, public universities, healthcare, military agencies, you name it, right? And as I've gone out and I've talked to many of these customers, the common theme I hear is that, Skype for Business is a strategic initiative for them. And by my estimates, about 75 to 85% of our customers are using Microsoft Lync or Skype for Business. Therefore, that gives you an idea of how broad the adoption for Skype for Business is. Paul, can you share with us some of the things that you're seeing?
Yeah, no, thanks, Tony. That's great. It's really exciting and gratifying to hear that the penetration of Skype for Business even amongst your customers.
Yep.
And so from our standpoint, there's a lot of great reasons why customers should be interested in this as well as partners. We recently in the last few months talked about a few stats that are really interesting. Things like over 1 billion mobile app downloads. We're seeing 3 billion minutes of calls per day running through the entire Skype ecosystem.
Wow.
And we've had to date about 3 trillion minutes of video calls. And we believe we are the #1 meetings provider with over 1 billion meetings per year. So that's all really great stats and very significant, but super important also to keep in mind that, as great as we are, we need our great partners to help us give us complete client coverage, right? And so adding VMware to that stable, that portfolio is a big win for Microsoft. It allows us to support VMware customers in the way that they would like to be supported when using Skype for Business. So I think it's kind of I hate to do the old Reese's Pieces or Reese's joke, which I think is that whole thing that I'm dating myself, Tony, about the chocolate and peanut butter, but it's definitely something really awesome to have us two working together.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So let's talk a little bit about, I think you've got some ideas around talking about the delivering Skype for Business support. So why don't you share with us what you're thinking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our partnership with Microsoft goes, back, I want to say 3 or 4 years to around 2012, 2013. And at that particular time, we started seeing mass adoption for Lync 2013. It was a very critical use case for many of our customers. I would argue that it's probably the most crucial use case. So therefore, we started working with Microsoft in 2013 to add support for Microsoft Link 2013 inside Horizon View desktop. So the key thing there, the requirement there was to enable customers to use their Link 2013 client inside a Horizon desktop and make audio and video calls, right? So in 2013, we VMware partnered with Microsoft, and we added support for the Link VDI plugin, and that allowed our customers to make audio and video calls seamlessly in an optimized manner inside their Horizon View desktops. Now, in that first column, Link VDI, so what that shows is that with that solution, the Link VDI plugin, you can support Link 2013 server, Skype for Business 2015, but it lacked the support for Office 365. Now, from a client perspective, that Link VDI plugin was only supported on Windows clients. So moving on, basically, we introduced a feature called real-time audio and video. And what many of customers were doing were they were using that feature to try to support audio and video when, let's say, they were using other things like Linux clients or Mac clients, which the Link VDI plugin did not support, right? Now, we did indicate to many of our customers that, look, you can use it, but it's not operating in an optimized fashion. So you still had issues with media hairpinning. All the audio and video was host-side rendered. So you didn't get many of the benefits that the Link VDI plugin provided, right?
That's interesting, Tony. It sounds like customers were so eager to use Skype for Business in VMware that even though it may not have been the most optimized experience, they were still going forward and doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that that gives an indication of how critical of a use case Skype for Business was to many of these customers, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yep. So last year, VMware announced support for, or not support, but we announced that we were going to partner with Microsoft to add support for Skype for Business. So as of Q1 2017, we're going to introduce the VMware Virtualization Pack on the column on the right-hand side. And what we plan on supporting with that is that we're going to support Link 2013 infrastructure, Skype for Business 2015. And obviously, Office 365 is very crucial and strategic for many of our customers, and we do have plans on supporting that in the future.
That is really exciting news. So what we're saying here is that for the actual tech preview, you guys are going to support our servers, but then you have future plans for Office 365, which is great. Also,
that's correct.
I should take a moment as well to go ahead and mention a couple of things. I'm being a little negligent in my duty as the moderator. Number one, we have a Q&A capability. I think many of our return visitors will know that, but I think there'll be a lot of VMware customers who may be the first time they've seen one of these broadcasts. So we welcome you on that and encourage you to go to the Q&A and drop us questions in. For instance, Tony, we don't have to answer it right this second, but we've got a question about when will VMware Horizon 7.1 be released. We'll tackle that one in a couple minutes toward the end. But we also have another feature which is really exciting in this broadcast, which is called Bing Pulse. And Bing Pulse lets us take real-time surveys of you, the audience. Now, we're not trying to find out your address or your credit card numbers, but we would like to know a little bit about you in an anonymous fashion, like how many of you are using VMware today, how many of you are on a particular version of Skype for Business, where you're located. So if you could keep an eye on that Bing Pulse while we ask you those questions, we super appreciate it. Okay, so Tony, back to the show. Let's go ahead and take a look at your next slide, if that makes sense to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me go ahead and go to content. Sorry, I'm showing behind the fourth wall here as I click buttons and I announce what I'm clicking. I should do that, but here we go. So here's a slide that's actually showing our buddies, Sean Bass and Raj Gopalakrishnan.
Yeah, so this is something that we showed at VMworld Barcelona last year, and it was actually part of the keynote, and it was such a great hit that basically we had a lot of follow-up questions on it. But essentially what we're demonstrating here is that we're demonstrating a Skype for Business call running inside a Horizon View desktop. And obviously Sean and Raj are making a video call, but the key thing here, basically it's it's the optimized solution. Basically, you have full audio and video without negatively impacting your virtual desktop infrastructure.
Yeah, I have to say, Tony, it was really exciting when you guys basically showed this to us internally before you got ready to demo it. I was really excited. I still, to this day, I think one of the most cleverest things I've ever seen was when one of the people working on it to demonstrate to Microsoft how well the video was working, sat there and spun one of those chairs. And the chair just spun in the video. Now, this is video we're seeing inside a VDI desktop, etc.
Yep.
And here's this chair looks completely real time. And at that point, as a marketing person, I said, they're really serious about getting this thing done fast and on time. So that was really exciting. So that was great news that you guys then were able to announce it, and we were able to have our friends have a little chat through the early preview of the product.
Absolutely. I mean, the interest in this solution has been tremendous. I mean, I'm fielding about 10 to 15 calls a week, just asking and customers chopping at the bits. When can we get it? When can we get it? Right?
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And from my side, I got to tell you, a lot of work I do, as well as my colleagues in the Skype for Business marketing team, product marketing team, is we're constantly answering those questions. And I see them going, people who know how to get access directly to our engineers are sending them emails. So definitely a lot of interest in it. So I think we're going to take a look now at how, at a high level, the UC virtualization pack works.
Absolutely. So let me walk you through this, right? So in the middle of the presentation, basically, you have a virtual machine, which represents your virtual desktop. And inside that virtual desktop, you're going to install the Skype for Business client. On the client machine on the bottom, basically, you have a Horizon client. And essentially, that Horizon client is used to access and remote into your virtual desktop. Now, the two new components that we are creating are the Horizon Media Proxy, which is installed inside the virtual desktop, and the Horizon Media Engine, which is installed on the client endpoint. And so between the two of them, they comprise the new solution. Now let's walk through this. A user at their client machine uses the Horizon client to connect to their virtual desktop. And once inside the virtual desktop, they're going to launch the Skype for Business client. Once the session is started over our virtual channels, it could be the PCIP virtual channels, or it could be the Blast Extreme virtual channels. The Horizon Media Engine is going to pair up with the Horizon Media Proxy inside the virtual desktop. And once that happens, basically the session is going to be operating in optimized mode. Right. So let's say, for example, you're inside your virtual desktop, you're using the Skype for Business client, and you either instantiate or you're receiving an audio or video call, right? Well, at that point, the minute the audio or video call starts, the Horizon Media Engine takes over, and it's going to perform all the media proxy or media processing of audio and video, right? So by having that media engine installed on the client endpoint, all the media processing takes place there, so you're not going to have a hit on your virtual infrastructure. The additional benefit is that the Horizon Media Engine is going to send the RTP traffic, the audio and video, point to point from the client endpoint directly to the other endpoint. So it's not going to be streamed through your virtual infrastructure. So any questions there?
Yeah. So that totally makes sense. So really, essentially, what you're saying is we're just lifting a lot of we're moving a lot of the heavy lifting off of the server infrastructure and allowing those things to happen in between the clients. Essentially, it improves the back-end infrastructure's ability to support multiple clients, as well as the front end. We get much better performance that the individual users of Skype for Business see when also in a VDI solution.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the most optimized architecture you can get. I mean, and many customers and partners would agree.
That's great. So hey, let's talk about a couple of questions. Or actually, let's see. I think we might have one more slide from you, and then we'll start tackling those questions. Yeah. So maybe you can walk us through again and just remind folks of why, in general, they're interested in UC virtualization.
Sure. So the key benefits that the virtualization pack adds is that it allows our partners, our customers, to fully communicate and collaborate with Skype for Business without negatively impacting the virtual infrastructure. You're also going to get, HD quality video and audio calls without any problems at all, right? So imagine, for example, by leveraging this architecture, your customers can make all the users can make audio or video calls without negatively impacting the infrastructure. You're going to get point-to-point media delivery. So imagine, for example, that your network policies, your network QoS is already configured to prioritize Skype for Business audio and video calls. Well, guess what? Because our audio and video are sent out of band, the network infrastructure can recognize that and properly give the proper QoS for it, right? So you're going to get you're going to get a great experience. Finally, because we use the native Skype codecs for both audio and video, you're not going to have this bandwidth explosion. It's going to use the same amount of bandwidth as a native Skype for Business call.
That sounds great. I mean, from our standpoint, it's interesting, right? Because it's like there's two entry points that basically. You either could be a VMware customer who's considering deploying or considering moving your Skype for Business infrastructure and having it supported by VDI, or you could be a Skype for Business customer initially, and you might be now looking at a VDI solution, or perhaps have VMware and want to join the two together.
Absolutely.
And, as a Skype for Business, selfishly, as a Skype for Business marketing person and business person, what I would say to my customers is that what's so exciting about this is that we announced this initiative to provide this to the key players in the VDI space, and with VMware joining us, it means you now have more options. And what it also means is that in certain scenarios now we have coverage. I can give you an example. Maybe 18 months ago, we had a customer ping us, and they had a bunch of developers in Linux. And our Linux support story was challenging, to say the least, right? And if you were a customer, you knew that. And so basically, with this VDI support, that means an organization can now choose to deploy these sessions, however we want to refer to them, these virtual desktops, available to like a Linux developer at some point, and they'll be able to use it. Now, it may not be supported in Tech Preview, but eventually, I think you guys have the plan to do that. And so it means that I can announce very happily and very honestly that all major platforms now are really going to be addressed by Skype for Business with clients available that are supported. And so that's great news, and just means that our solution becomes even more complete for customers using it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think we've got a couple little things here, but basically, if you want to just explain the difference between the two in terms of functionality, and I think you included send email and schedule meeting because you were referring to when you use Outlook to go ahead and configure. But
correct.
Go ahead, Tony.
So sure. What I wanted to highlight here is that this new architecture, this new optimized solution is meant to basically enable two things: audio and video calls. So and I believe that's a critical use case for many of our customers, right? If you're not using audio or video calls, then you would not require the media engine to be installed on the client endpoint. That's essentially it, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's actually it. And those are the high work. Those are the bandwidth eaters, right? So those are
exactly
that sit out there and demand the most performance. And so with audio and video being available through the media engine, that makes a huge difference.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's going to be available in Tech Preview?
Sure. So we've already announced that we plan on releasing the Tech Preview in Q1 of 2017. And so with this Tech Preview release, we're going to release obviously the first release of the virtualization pack, but also we're going to release the media engine for Windows clients only. And that's going to be a Tech Preview release, right? So what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to make point-to-point audio calls and point-to-point video calls. From an infrastructure perspective, we will allow connection to basically Link 2013 as well as Skype for Business 2015 server.
Okay.
Now, I realize that Office 365 is a very important initiative for many of our customers, and at VMware we use Office 365 also, so we do have plans on supporting Office 365 in the future.
That sounds great.
Yep. So. With this initial release for Tech Preview, we're only going to be supporting the 2015 client, but partners and customers have indicated that the Skype for Business 2016 client is important for them. So obviously, we will look to address that in a future release.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds good. It is interesting. I think there is quite a bit of customers interested, but I would also say there's quite a bit of customers who are using VDI and maybe back on an earlier client release as well. So
Gotcha.
that we should be in good shape there.
Great, great. So finally, you can fully use the Skype for Business client to make calls to the PSTN with a dial pad, and it also allows remote connectivity through the edge server. So you can do a lot with it.
That sounds great. Okay, and so I guess finally, I think this is we're nearly at the end, and then we'll go into Q&A, Tony, if that's okay. Well, I'll throw you some fastballs and some softballs as well.
Okay.
Basically, what are the preview requirements for customers if they want to try this out at the end of Q1?
Sure thing. So obviously, customers are going to need to have either Link 2013 or Skype for Business 2015 deployed in their environment. And then from a VMware software perspective, they're going to need to deploy Horizon 7.1 with the 7.1 agent and the new Horizon client, which I believe is the 4.4 client coming out.
Right. So pretty straightforward. People, as long as they have those both in place, they'll be able to give it a spin, and that sounds perfect.
Yep.
Okay. So I think with that, Tony, I think we've reached the end of the slides, right? Oh, I think we've. Yep. So I think you just got a couple last points there.
Yep. So as part of the Horizon 7.1 release, we're going to make these new software bits available for download. The two components are the Horizon Media Engine and the Horizon Media Proxy, and they're going to be made available as just separate download, executables that customers can download. Right.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, Tony, thanks so much for joining us. Let's drop into a little bit of Q&A, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask you a few questions that are coming in from our customers and our.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to go in and shoot. So I think we've answered this, but when will VMware Horizon 7.1 be released?
So we plan on releasing it in Q1 of 2017. I can't pin a particular date at the moment, but basically we do plan on releasing it within this quarter. Yeah.
So let's clarify that the tech preview will be available this quarter.
That's correct. Yes.
And then the actual VMware release will probably come later. Is that right, or am I?
So the VMware, the GA version of this will come at a later time frame. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Yep. Yeah. So what we're saying is tech preview will occur before the end of Q1. So remember Paul's first rule of marketing communications, which is this. You hear a marketer say Q1, you think January, I think March. So just remember that. And as long as you remember that rule, that's a great rule, right? Because the last day of March is still technically Q1. So, so look for that probably in the later part of March for the tech preview. And then hopefully we'll have some news, combined news together about when it will actually be available for a general release, a general availability. Okay. So let me just keep rolling down here. So will the new VMware virtualization pack make the VDI plugin unnecessary?
Well, so we see it as an evolution of the Link VDI plugin. The Link VDI plugin worked great, and it supported Link 2013. It supported Windows clients. But for our customers that want to use, let's say in the future, Office 365, or let's say use Linux clients or Mac clients, that combination wasn't supported before with the Link VDI plugin. So they can choose to either use the Link VDI plugin for the old, whatever infrastructure that is supported with the Link VDI plugin, or the new Skype for Business solution that we're creating.
Right. And I think a related question is around thin versus a zero client. So they'd like to know what clients are supported. I think you're referring to, of course, the VMware side of the equation.
Yeah. So let me talk through that. So thin clients today, basically, you have two variants. You have either a Windows thin client or a Linux thin client, right? And because we're going to support the media engine on both Windows and Linux, obviously they're going to be able to use that media engine to basically install on either of those thin clients and operate seamlessly, right? VMware is also with our new Blast Extreme protocol, we're working with partners in the thin client ecosystem or the client ecosystem to introduce Blast Zero clients. And with these new Blast Zero clients, we do have plans to support this new media engine on the Blast Zero clients.
Oh, that sounds great, actually. So
Yep.
it sounds like there's going to be a lot of different options available to customers as we.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, the next question is around, does it work with QoS? Is it possible to tag RTB traffic? As I like to say, it's not been a Skype for Business meeting unless the acronym QoS is mentioned at least once in an hour.
Yeah, so yes, it will work with QoS. So essentially, because we separate the RTP stream outside of the display protocol, so it's going to be sent as a completely separate stream. QoS is going to be able to recognize that RTP stream. It's going to be able to give it proper classification and give it prioritized treatment.
Okay. So the next question is, will the VMware optimization plugin support both PCOIP and RDP protocols used in Horizon View Client?
So that's a great question. And so we will be supporting the solution with PCOIP and Blast Extreme, but not RDP.
Okay, great. Does the plugin break the VDI? Does the plugin break the VDI plugin limitation of supporting only 32-bit executables?
So we're going to have both a 32-bit and a 64-bit version of the Horizon Media Engine. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I think that sounds like what they're asking about. Does the VMware optimization pack require you to remove the existing Link VDI plugin from the existing Thin client? I think it says Think, but I think they meant Thin client.
Gotcha.
I think it's a question about coexistence, really.
Gotcha. So we haven't tested, having both software bits installed at the same time. I would think on a thin client, because there's limited real estate as far as storage space, you would want to remove one and not just have both installed, right?
Yeah, and I think it's probably that will be something typically, at least when Microsoft produces software like this, we typically, at a tech preview point, we're just moving toward getting our software ready for people to try. I think some of the answers will probably, for you guys too, will probably come as GA arrives, and there'll be a lot more clarity around those test cases. So
exactly, we're working at a frantic pace to get this out because there's been such great demand for it, and obviously, as we field, as customers try it out and give us feedback, we'll make the appropriate changes to make it optimized for their environment, right?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so the next one is, will the virtualization pack work for RSDH and Skype as a publish application?
Oh, RDSH, gotcha. Okay, so in the initial tech preview, it's only going to work inside a virtual desktop. But we do have aspirations to allow it to work when you're publishing, let's say, a Skype for Business client as a publish app.
Yeah, good. And then I think we're being asked what level at GA, what level of Horizon will be required to use the virtualization pack. I think you and I had talked a little bit about that before, and I think the answer is, you guys, when we get closer to GA, you'll announce the exact. This is more of a licensing question, and so you'll announce the exact stuff. Is that right, Tony? Or
yeah, that's exactly right. We're not going to charge extra for these new software bits, but once we move closer towards GA, we'll announce basically our plans on what Horizon additions this feature set is going to be available in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a question. I think this might be a combination of us. Will Skype for Business now support the current limited features for VDI users, video gallery, view, etc.? This is probably a good point where I'll jump in and say, just as a reminder, it's a Microsoft requirement, not VMware, but our requirement that customers using VDI solutions with our latest clients have a full version of the client. So we do require to use that full version. Now, specifically, I actually don't know the answer if in general the VDI solution will support video gallery. I think it does, right, Tony? I think I've seen it using it but just wondering if you know.
We're looking into that. We'd obviously like to basically support gallery view because that's it's a great feature to show. We'll continue to work with the Microsoft team and vet that out and see if that's possible inside VDI. If it's possible with with the software components, then we'll make it happen. Right.
Awesome. Okay, next question is being asked again about 2015 client. I think we answered that. So currently at Tech Preview will be 2015 client, and then VMware is looking to add the 26 client to support at a later date, maybe at GA, maybe a little bit after GA. Ask around the Mac. I think we're asking. So sorry, I assume we're asking about 2016 Mac. I don't think will be available at GA. Is that right, Tony?
So the 2016 client, Mac. So are you talking about using
the Skype for Business Mac client? Will that be supported in a VDI solution? I think you're only going to be getting to Windows initially.
Yeah. So the Horizon Media Engine, we do have plans on supporting on Mac clients at a future date. I think that's what they're asking, right? Because the Horizon Media Engine is installed on the client endpoint, and it can remotely connects to the Skype for Business client running inside your Windows virtual desktop.
And actually, that's a good point. So actually, what it requires is Microsoft to do some work on the Mac client. So right now, that's not there yet, but we're looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question: will there be support for tethering with like a Polycom CX600 phone?
Yeah, so tethering is an important use case for us, and that's something that we're going to be looking into at a later time frame also. So basically, using I think what you're asking for is connecting a USB phone into your client device and having the Skype for Business client running inside your virtual desktop control that USB phone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we're on our last question now, because we're also at the 32-minute mark, and so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We've been having a good time talking about this, but let's hit that last one. So, customer has actually, let me just scroll up a little bit. Does the plugin for MMR work? And they give, for instance, if a customer has a USB headset and USB is enabled in Horizon View, would that be actually supported?
So with the solution, we recommend keeping the US or the headset local to the client device so that the media engine can actually capture the audio stream from the headset, because we don't want a USB redirect all the audio or the USB traffic from the headset back to the remote desktop, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the optimized architecture, right?
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it. That's sorry if there's more questions, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. But I want to, again, Tony Huynh, I want to thank you very much, Director of Product Marketing at VMware, for joining us today. It's been, I think, a really interesting session and pretty exciting news that we're going to bring you guys on board, and you're joining us to support Skype for Business.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, everybody. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks again. I don't know if we have any further announcements to make about future shows, but remember that this is the Skype for Business IT Pro broadcast. We do this every 2 weeks. Check into our Twitter handles and things like that. You'll find out exactly when the next one is, which I just said should be 2 weeks from today. And then based on that, we'll be covering more and more topics around IT Pro. Bye, everyone. Bye, Tony.
Cheers. Bye.